Hello, everyone. This is Jeanette Schliega with VGA, and I am here with my friend Sam Williams, who agreed to do this little interview. Thank you so much, Sam.
I'm happy to be here.
Yay! So you have an upcoming VGA program, and I want to ask you about that at the end. But first, I don't know that I know the story of how you got started in genealogy. Would you share that with everyone?
Sure. So my story with genealogy is probably kind of normal for a lot of people. I didn't know much about where I came from or where my ancestors came from. And what's maybe a little bit less common is that I didn't grow up with much of my extended family. So I had a lot of uncles, aunts around, but I didn't really know them. And my dad had aunts and uncles around, but I had never met them until I went to their funerals. So it's something that as a kid, I was always curious about. And I would hear some stories about my mom's side of the family and how we're descended from these really important lines that were involved in government in early Virginia, and that we were somehow cousins of Patrick Henry. And I was like, sure. And I knew my grandfather is half German, but after that, I didn't really know anything. And so once I went off to college, I was still busy, but then I had a year between college and grad school. And I used that time to start an ancestry account and start a family tree. And I got fascinated. I was like, wow, there's all these trees on here, all this information. I started just adding it. I thought I was doing my genealogy because I added all these trees. I connected them all.
Oh, no.
But I had some information and it backed up some of those stories. And then I went to grad school, didn't have the time. And when I got out of grad school, by then DNA testing came on the stage where you didn't have to be Oprah Winfrey to have your DNA tested. And I said, what? So I got a DNA test and I realized that there was so much power in getting a DNA test and that you could confirm or ignore some of the family history and the family tree based on your DNA results, and that you could help people that had, they were adopted or that they weren't sure who their parents were. And that just blew my mind, and everything, just unraveled from there.
So having a very common surname, do you participate in, like, have you done the Y-DNA, kind of so to follow your Williams line?
Yeah, that's a great question. I did a Y-DNA test I did my dad just so that he would be one.
Oh, yeah.
Closer. And at first it was really frustrating because he didn't match any other Williamses at first. And I was like, oh no, I'm not really a Williams. And then my dad's second cousin tested and they matched each other. I said, yes. And then some other Williamses did come in, and I'm still working on some of the mystery of my Williams line, but it does definitely make Williams research a lot harder. And then I also have Adams and Moore and things like that are just like, okay. And they all have, common first names too. So it's a joy.
Yeah. So you said that you really started researching in college or after college and everything like that with DNA. And then, so when did you start lecturing, like, that's how I've met you, is through conferences and lecturing. How long have you been doing that?
Yeah, so after several years, I was working on my own family history. And when I moved back to Virginia, around that same time, I started exercising for the first time in my life. And I wanted to listen to something. So I started listening to podcasts. And so I started increasing my education with genealogy podcasts while I was on the elliptical or while I was going for a run. And I started learning, and I just was loving what I was learning. And then a year into that, probably, I heard about Roots Tech. And I was like, I got to go to Roots Tech, this conference out in Salt Lake City. Everyone's saying it's the best thing since sliced bread. I have to go. So I went and I met all these amazing people, friends of ours. I met Sonny Morton, I met Dan Southard. I met all these people that I'd heard in podcasts, but I'd never met in person.
Right.
And we became friends. And then I would go to more conferences, and I went to I went to FGS in
Mhm.
DC and started meeting other people who were speakers and realized that I love teaching. And teaching is something that I do part of my day job. Um, and I realized, if I have something to share, if there's a way that I can do something and I can make it sound easy for someone else and then they can do it
Mhm.
themselves too, I would rather just start doing it.
Yeah.
And so started doing that a couple years ago. Was involved in a couple online conferences before that became a thing.
Mhm.
And then I've just been really blessed to keep doing it. So I'm happy to be doing that this week.
Yeah. Awesome. And then do you do other professional genealogy things besides lecturing? Like, do you take clients and things like that?
Yeah, so I take clients in mostly, I would say, Central Virginia. So Virginia research, because I'm close to everything. I'm close to Library of Virginia, which has records for way back, which is really great. And I also do Greek American research because I work also in the Greek community. So I know a lot about naming conventions, things like that. And then I also do a lot of DNA work. So if someone is working on an unknown parentage, or they're adopted, or they're trying to figure out some mystery with that DNA can help answer, people can hire me for that research as well.
Well, that is a perfect transition into your VGA program coming up.
Yeah.
So, the upcoming program you have is turning mystery DNA matching into leaves. Can you tell us a little bit about what we're going to learn?
Yeah. So in a nutshell, what we're talking about is how we can go from having a random DNA match and then figuring out who they are and how they connect to you. Because there's nothing worse than seeing this random person pop up and you have no idea who they are. And maybe they don't ever get back to you. And it's really up to you as the genealogist to sort that out. So how do you do that? What are some tricks of the trade of how to not stalk them, but figure out who they are? You know what I mean? And because there's always clues. We all live in this 21st century world, this very digital world, and we use uh, usernames. We have circles of friends on social media, things like that. And all of these things, along with very limited family trees sometimes that people offer on their trees, on their accounts, we can
Mhm.
try to figure out who these matches are. And that's what we're going to be talking about so that we can make sure that the more our tree is filled, the more we can get cousins to connect into it.
Mhm. Absolutely. Well, I am super excited about that. I have done a little bit of light ancestral stalking or genealogy stalking myself, like
Yeah.
um especially on Facebook. It's amazing because when you can check somebody's friends list and see other people in there that they're friends with that you've hypothesized that they're sisters or like and everything, you start to put that tree together through social media, and then you can reach out to them. So, and
Yeah,
I've
so
had luck. Yeah.
that's good. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely one of those things
Mhm.
where we don't want to we don't want to actually become stalkers. We
Yeah.
don't want to actually do anything that we shouldn't be doing. It does behoove us to look into these people before we just reach out. And
Mhm.
sometimes we have to be really careful on how we reach out to people on Ancestry, other thing, because sometimes we give too much information, like, oh, I know exactly how we're related, and they're like, whoa, I don't know you from,
Right.
a random person on the street. um, I messaged someone recently where I said, I know that we're related through this particular line in Virginia. And they're like, oh no, I don't have any family from there. We're not related. And I had to write back. I said, actually, we're definitely related. DNA is telling us so. And based on all of these things, this is what I'm suggesting. So it's really, it becomes frustrating sometimes for any of us to make these connections, but that's what we're going to talk about tomorrow. So
Well, I look forward to it. Thank you so much, Sam Williams. Yay.
join us.
Yes, we'll see you then.